Hey class, today we're going to be covering exponents. Make sure you're taking your notes. Alright, let's make sure we have our name, our date, and the class period that you're in. When I ask for your name, I need your first and last name, by the way. So today we're going to be looking at exponents, and our essential question is, how many or how do you use exponents to represent numbers? By the end of these notes, you should be able to answer that. Let's look at multiplication. Multiplication is repeated addition. For example, if I had 2 times 4, that's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Now, exponents are repeated multiplication. Okay, so if I have 2 to the 4th power, that is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That is not 2 times 4. That is not 2 times 4. So when we're using exponents, a number that is formed by repeated multiplication by the same factor is called a power. You can use an exponent and a base to write a power. For example, 7 raised to the 3rd power, or 7 cubed, means the product of 3 sevens. Okay, so that's the product of 3 sevens. That's 7 times 7 times 7. And we know product is the answer to a multiplication problem. The exponent tells you how many times the base appears in the expression. So this is an expression. The base is the number that is being multiplied. So our base is 7 and our exponent is 3. So our base is being multiplied 3 times. 7 times 7 times 7. Okay, let's talk about how you read some of these. So I have 6 and this exponent of 2. That is also known as 6 squared. Or you could say 6 to the power of 2, or 6 raised to the 2nd power. 7 with an exponent of 3, you can call that 7 cubed, or 7 to the power of 3, 7 raised to the 3rd power. Make sure you're familiar with squared and cubed, and you know that's referring to the 2 and the 3. Or 9 to the power of 4, or 9 raised to the power of 4. So let's take a look at some examples. Example 1. Example 1 says, use an exponent to write each expression. Okay, so we want to use an exponent to write this expression. So first we want to find the base, or the number being multiplied. So in this case, the base is 3. Next, we want to find the exponent by counting the number of 3's being multiplied. So we have 3 being multiplied: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the exponent is 5. So if I'm going to use an exponent to write this expression, it's going to be the base and then the exponent. So this means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. This does not mean 3 times 5. This does not mean 3 times 5. Okay, let's turn over to the back. Okay, so we have find the base, or I'm sorry, we want to go ahead and use an exponent to write each expression. So here is our expression. And it says find the base, or the number being multiplied. The base is 4/5. To find the exponent by counting the number of times 4/5, this should be say 4/5, appears in the expression. And it appears, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So the exponent is 4. So it is 4/5. And I'm going to write some parentheses around this to hold that fraction in, and it's raised to the 4th power. All right, so your turn. Use exponents to write each expression. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and write that in. All right, next, finding the value of a power. So now we're going to be finding the value. It says to find the value of a power, remember that the exponent indicates how many times to use the base as a factor. Pay special attention to this property of 0 as an exponent. The value of any non-zero number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Okay, that's good to know. So for example, 5 raised to the 0 power, it just said that the value of any non-zero number raised to the power of 0 is 1. So the answer to this is 1. Okay, make sure you have that. Example 2. It says -10 raised to the 4th power. So pay close attention because we have parentheses around this and we have a negative in front of the 10. These parentheses are holding that negative to that 10. Okay? So we're going to identify the base of the exponent, and the base is -10. And the exponent is 4. Okay, so on this part where it says evaluate, this is where we want to basically solve the problem. So we have -10 raised to the 4th is equal to -10 times -10 times -10 times -10. So I have my base, -10, and it's being factored 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the answer to this one is going to be 10,000. Now, pay attention here because we have some rules for multiplication of integers. We have 2 negatives, which equal positive, 2 more negatives. All right, so let me get back to where it was. 2 negatives equal positive, 2 negatives equal positive. So a positive times a positive gives me a positive. Okay, so the next problem, 4/10 raised to the 3rd power, or as we said, 4/10 cubed, because we have this little 3 and we refer to that as cubed. So we're going to evaluate that. It's equal to 4/10 times 4/10 times 4/10. That is going to equal Okay, so don't forget, whenever you're multiplying decimals, you multiply like there's no decimal. So that's 4 times 4, which is 16, times 4, which is 64. But you have 1, 2, 3 decimal spaces that we have to move it. Okay, so the next one we have, oh, I forgot to identify the base. The base was, and the exponent was, all right, so C. Okay, so if you remember earlier, we talked about the property of 0 as an exponent, and the base is 3/5, and the exponent is 0. So we know that based off our property, 3/5 to the 0 power is equal to 1. All right, the next one. We have -11 square, or -11 raised to the 2nd power. We need to identify the base and the exponent. The base is, so this one we've got to pay attention to because we do not have parentheses around this holding that negative in front of the 11. So the actual base is 11 and the exponent is 2. So -11 11 squared is the same thing as 11 times 11. Okay, which is going to give me, we're going to simplify what's in the parentheses, which is 121, and we're going to keep this where it was. So the opposite of a positive number squared is a negative number, and here is your answer. So your turn, I want you to do, find the value of each power. 3 raised to the 4th, negative 1 raised to the 9th, 2/5 raised to the 3rd, or cubed, and negative 12 squared. Make sure you show your work. Show your work down here on the bottom or on the side, and you will be submitting this back page. So this whole page you will be submitting in Schoology. So you want to submit this side.